Hello, how are you? Whoa! It's April 26, 2020, and I'm Victoria Weinstein, PeaceBang. Hi. I just thought I would check in with some tips and tricks about how we're doing worship right now in ministry, and hopefully you will, weigh in. How are you? What's working? Are you okay? I think I'm okay. I think I'm okay. So I want to just talk about some of the things that I'm doing because everybody's doing different things, and I love one of the things I do love about right now is all of the sharing of resources and the way that clergy are there for each other and assisting each other and going like, can you do a Zoom practice? Because I need to figure out how to do a screen share and all of that. So I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, just for whatever it's worth, and also share with you some of my tech equipment I'm very happy with it. And so why not share? Because I think some of us are still finding what really works. So maybe I'll start with that. What I'm doing with my congregation is we are doing a worship by, I guess, sort of by video clip. So what we do is I put together the order of service. We choose music with my music director, and he plans and works on all of that. And he's getting to the point where we might be putting in previously recorded anthems and things like that. So far, we've had piano music and solos and solo instrumental. So he records with his music folks the clips for music. I have been recording a minister's message, and I've actually been doing that outside. We're a very kind of outdoorsy feeling congregation. We are located in the woods, and we're right by the ocean, and nature and environmentalism is a big focus of our spirituality. It's big part of our mission. So some of our clips people have been filming outside. So I'll ask people, would you do the chalice lighting? Would you do a reading? Would you do the time for all ages? And we've had a wonderful variety of things. So people have been contributing things as they finish them throughout the week, which I really like. And I would recommend it for those of you who are still figuring out what method works best for you. I know a lot of folks are doing Zoom gatherings with all your worship participants and then filming that and putting it on YouTube. We are very lucky. We have a volunteer media editor. And what he does is he takes all of the clips that we upload into a Google folder. He edits them together, and then we put it on YouTube, and it drops, if you will, on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. which we follow. So people kind of watch church. And I'll go back to that in a moment to explain how it's still dynamic and still community oriented. It's definitely not just a spectator sport. Then we have Zoom coffee hour, which has worked great. I know a lot of you are doing breakout rooms in your coffee hour. We have found that doesn't work for us right now, but we're glad to know how to do it, and we may end up using it. So I'd love to hear how you might be using or structuring breakout rooms in your social time or your ministry community gatherings. Love to hear about that. Please share in the comments if you have some insights. Our worship services are, again, really creative because I ask different people every week, would you do this reading? And then what I do is, aside from contributing a minister's message almost always, is I do the benediction and a prayer. I create in Keynote, which I really like. I like Keynote a lot better than Google Slides and better than PowerPoint. For me, the design, it's just more user-friendly. I like it a lot. But I do have to export all the files that I create in Keynote into PNG images so that they can be woven as like I make titles before every element of the liturgy, so that as you're in church, as it were, you're seeing what's happening next, just as though you were following an order of service. We do send an order of service to folks through our weekly email blast. So people get it both places. They get it online as they're watching, including like unison readings and hymn slides with the lyrics come up as the music is playing. I wish that Zoom made it easier to share music, because I think we would use Zoom more if that was the case, but it's not really meant for that. So that's just how that is. We create a YouTube video. Our pastoral care coordinator makes sure that she does like a community check-in, prayers of the people every Sunday. And then this past Sunday, to give the worship team and myself a break and a breather, I did something very simple and short, which was that I did a little ministerial, what I called heart to heart, just 10 minutes of how's the church doing? Here are some of the things we're working on. Here's how the staff is doing. It's an update. And then it was followed by a church leader giving an update on our sanctuary initiative, our sanctuary project, because we voted a year ago to become a sanctuary congregation. And of course, everything is on hold right now. We've moved to a mutual aid model, working with our community social justice coalition to get food and money into the hands of our very vulnerable immigrant population. So I know that's happening with a lot of you. Ministry right now is more social work than ever, isn't it? I mean, we're just hearing about where needs are, who's making masks, where do they need them, coordinating all of that. There are people who have had to postpone elective surgery. So pastoral ministry is very different now. It's more crisis response. It's going to be like that for the foreseeable future. I'm very fortunate so far. No known cases of COVID in the congregation. Well, one somebody's recovering pretty well from it. I live in a red zone. I live in Lynn, Massachusetts, which is in bad shape right now. I will just be honest. I won't sugarcoat it. And we are very close to Chelsea, Massachusetts, which you may have seen in the news, which is in total lockdown, where the National Guard is getting food to people. So Massachusetts, because we have a very, very dense population, I'm glad we have a good governor, and I'm being very careful. Just thought I would check in about that. So here are some of the things that have made my life a lot easier doing online ministry. I'll just share them with you. Right now I have a little tripod that my camera is on, and that's on top of a pile of books, and a laptop that I used today for coffee hour. I have really liked this little wireless speaker. It charges through a USB port. I use this when I do a midweek program called Soul Strength. I use this to play my music, and I have I lead the program from off of my laptop off Zoom, and I have my phone right next to me, which is queued up for certain music. So I've appreciated having this. It was very affordable. I'm a big fan of these little wireless speakers. This is called Heyday. This very good sound quality for the price. This item is really terrific. This is a big tripod, as you can see, and it has a ring light on it, which if you want to use the light, I use the tripod a lot without the light. You can see there's a phone thingy holder there, a grip. And this, the light plugs in with the USB. It's an adjustable tripod, so I can adjust the height. Really, really really been great. I think it was $30 or something. And the best thing, actually the best thing about it is that it came with this remote, which is awesome because I can start and stop my video by clicking instead of doing this, you know, like whoop, on and off. So I love that. I know one of you asked how I found a remote, and you just stick a little, I think it came with a battery, and you sync it through Bluetooth, and there it is. Ta-da. Okay, these were a big purchase, but I am really glad. These are the Apple wireless ear pods. And I didn't know that $199 could be worth it, but I'd had wireless before that just didn't have great quality, and these are fantastic. They recharge through just the same charger that your phone uses, and the quality is fantastic. They work like a dream. They are, you can see, they're almost like magnetized. Whoa. Okay, well, I just dropped one, didn't I? I don't know where I just put that. I'll find it. But anyway, they drop right into this little handy dandy thing perfectly well, and they don't fall out when I wear them. I do not wear them out of the house in case I drop one. They're too expensive to lose. So I love having those. That was just a splurge. I was sick of having bad. I just don't want to lose that. All right, I'll find it. It's not going anywhere. I was sick of having to deal with, you know, the cords and the cordless and all this. I do tend to still use corded earphones, earbuds. They make the Zoom calls much, much better. If you're not using, you know, these, I'm telling you, I can hear 90% better. This is something that I really appreciate having. I film a lot, I think I said, outside, because I like that warm, you know, nature feel. Now I'm indoors right now, so I don't need a lapel mic, but when I'm outside, this little guy is a huge, huge help. And it might be a help for those of you who have worship, people who are participating in worship at home, who just don't have a good phone, or their audio quality is eh. These are inexpensive. I will tell you what they are in the comments, or in the when I post this blog post. I will let you know exactly what model this is. I'm a fan. They come with this kind of plug. So I had this adapter anyway, so that I could plug it into my phone. So it's funny, when I'm outside filming, I've got my lapel mic and I'm all hooked up to this and that. It's funny, but I'm glad that I have this. It's good for ambient noise and picks you up really nicely. So I would recommend that for you, or for, again, if anybody is doing the prayers, or they're doing whatever they're doing. We have lots and lots of people participating in worship right now, and so I think I'm going to buy 4 or 5 of those and drop them off for people who regularly participate. It makes a difference, and for those parishioners who are hard of hearing, it can really help them. You know, it's an accessibility issue, essentially. It helps them to hear and know what's going on. I would love to know how many of you may be using closed captions in your worship services. So let me know. Let's talk about that. We have not thus far provided subtitles or closed captioning at all, but I know that that's an option when people go to YouTube. And in fact, that's something I want to tell folks in the congregation and in the community, that you can choose to view the videos with you know, closed captioning. So I wanted to share some of the text stuff, and I wanted to tell you, you know, again, everybody's doing different things with worship. I really, really like being able to prepare the worship. We drop it at 10 a.m. on Sunday morning, so there's still that kind of sense of an event. People have been watching at 10 a.m., which is really, really nice. And then we have the live coffee hour over Zoom. which is great because then you can talk about the service or not. People just visit, and we've done a lot of sharing of just resources. How is it in your community? Who needs food? What organizations are we working with? So it's kind of a clearinghouse for important information as well, which is very crucial in these times. I did a children's chapel today. And I know, by the way, I mean, not by the way, but I do know that Zoom has had security issues. And I know that some of you have experienced Zoom bombing. And I am so sorry. It's sick and devastating. We have had no issues. We have always used the waiting room option for Zoom meetings. I assume you've all been using that, so I don't really know like how Zoom bombers are getting in. One of the things that I've requested of people is that they all make sure that their Zoom name is first and last, and that they upload an image, so that when we do programs or worship or coffee hour rather, I always, if I'm leading a program, and I know a lot of you are also doing this, I always make sure that when I go on to the event, that we've assigned another host. And so I literally turn the meeting over to one of the members of the church, and then they host the meeting, which means they're letting people out of the waiting room. They are messaging with people if there's any question about like, hi, we don't know you, who are you? They are muting and unmuting according to whatever script or arrangement we've set previously. And that's a big help, because I know if you're trying to do all of that alone and leading and being present to people on screen, it's a lot. I do all of that for myself for one program that I lead, which is only about 10 people. And I find that it's okay. I should still get somebody to host it though, so I can concentrate on the program. Because there have been times when somebody went out and they tried to come back in and I didn't see them in the waiting room because we were in the middle of a meditation or something. So just the question of who has Zoom accounts and stuff, I know we're all dealing with that in our workplaces. I bought myself a professional Zoom account so that I personally can host up to 100 people. And then the church bought a professional account. And there was a really great discount deal because of it being a church. And I think we can have 9 identified hosts, so that there's a lot of us. And it's great because it just means that people can be leading programs and things like that. But it was definitely several meetings to decide, who really needs to be an identified host and who is someone that in some programs, like myself or a staff member will host officially, like we will be the one to schedule the program on our Zoom account, and then we will hand it over at 5 minutes of whenever the scheduled start time is to the person leading the program. Maybe we'll stay on, maybe we won't. So we're all learning about that. I'm sure you are too. Zoom is not perfect, but it's a wonderful tool for right now, and I'm grateful for it. Today I did a children's chapel, which was wonderful. And I'm going to tell you about security first, and then I'll just tell you what we did for the program. We set a password for this program, and we made sure that we only sent the Zoom invitation out to an email list that is comprised of parents of children who are registered for our religious education program. So it wasn't posted anywhere. The link invitation, or the Zoom link, was not posted anywhere. It's not on the website. It was not on the Facebook page. It only went out by email, and it required a password. So that felt good. We enabled the waiting room, and it was a beautiful, beautiful time with the children. I'll share with you, I know many of you are doing things with youth groups and children, I'm just going to share this format for what it's worth. Just why not? Let's see. We started with our team at 10 minutes of the hour. We did it at the customary church hour. We had somebody host, and then we had 2 Sunday school teachers there, our lead teacher and another. So familiar, beloved faces. We did our ritual chalice lighting with the words that the children use every week in church. And it was adorable because a lot of the children had chalices at home that they lit at the same time. I was really happy to see that. And then I greeted the children and said a little bit, very age appropriate, about, gee, what an interesting time, and naming that it was hard, but keeping it very upbeat and very curious and open, how we do with children. And then we muted all the children at that point. And then we invited them all to share. This is what I asked: something that is really hard for you right now, and something that's really good for you right now, something that you really like about life right now. And we asked them to raise their hands electronically or just physically to share. And the hosting person was really great at unmuting, and they shared, and it was very poignant. Then we sang a song together that they all know that they sing in Sunday school every week. And then this was sweet. I took out my teddy bear, Iggy, and I talked about how much we all need hugs, and there's some people in our lives that we can't hug right now. So we had a big hug session. The kids had, and everybody, the teachers too, had teddy bears or pets or a pillow to hug, and a couple of people just hugged themselves. And after our group hug, we did blessing hands. This is our blessing hands. And everyone was still unmuted, and we did a blessing. And then we did a chalice extinguishing, which they have words for. And then, blowing kisses and see you soon. Which so that was the first time I had done a program online with the children. I also made sure to ask the parents to put name tags on everybody. And I would recommend that. It was just did my heart good to see the little ones. I'm trying to think, there was something else about Zoom coffee hour I wanted to recommend or ask about, but I don't remember. That's just how it is. I have not engaged at all, and nobody's really asked in planning ahead or saying, well, we'd like to start meeting again under these conditions in the whatever date. That is a spiritual practice for me and for our leadership team. We have, of course, turned our thoughts in that direction. But when we start to do that, we usually agree together. It's a sort of a collective understanding that when we try to forecast, that we're putting our energy somewhere that we'd rather be instead of dealing with right now. And so that's the focus of my ministry right now, is, again, because we don't know, and because there's just going to be 1,000 details, and we're just learning 1,000 details about how to be together now. It just seems like a distraction. I don't know, not denial, but maybe just a distraction or a compartmentalization. To say, well, let's start thinking about all the details. What's our cleaning protocol going to be? How distanced are people going to be? What rooms would we open up? What can we sing together ever? Why would we go there right now? Why do we need to go there? That's a genuine question. Of course, I'm collecting resources and ideas. I am cutting and pasting them from where colleagues are posting them, and I pop them in a Google Doc, and that's it. Because we need to deal with right now. I live in a city that is in peril, and it's just going to get worse. So my reserves need to be about coping and helping other people cope with today. We have been in quarantine or in sheltering in place for a month or 5 weeks. Yeah, at least 5 weeks. And it's going to be way months before we can think about opening our building. So to me, the minute I forecast my imagination to, well, and then maybe in September, I'm not dealing with now. And that blocks creativity. And it blocks my resources, which are limited. I mean, they're always limited, God knows, right? But I want to stay acknowledging where we are, what's going on, the onslaught of bad news, and just also, balancing that out, the pride and the joy I feel in how we're staying together in community, how we're still doing ministry really well. So this past week, I was doing planning brain, plan. And then I stopped myself. This was at probably, I don't know, maybe it was the end of the previous week. I stopped myself and I said, God, I'm putting my imagination into a future that is, why am I doing that? And if I stop doing that, I'm waiting for your word. I'm waiting for your movement instead of what I'm trying to plan, which is something that is always a challenge for me. I'm listening for God instead of me, monkey mind, chatterbrain. And what I got once I quieted myself was really important. And that's why I wanted to emphasize this with you today. What I got was, first of all, how about next week? Not next fall, not next winter, and I realized that our very creative worship process was exhausting. Not just for me, but all of a sudden, because I was sort of calling in the spirit of the congregation, I realized, and I became more attentive to how demanding it had been for our whole team in the past weeks. Learning all the tech, filming stuff, learning how to be on camera, dealing with content, dealing with interfaces, Keynote, Google Doc drives, uploading, YouTube, all of that. And especially for our media editor, who was getting all of this media together and spending his entire Saturday, not just stitching it all together, but getting calls from some of us in frantic condition going, Steve, I can't upload the blah, blah, blah. Or, it's not working. And then people would drive to his house, and he lives with our vice president. So they're, family. And so, doing all this like crisis control, tech crisis, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, we need to have an alternative in place so we can have breathers from this. And I created one. God created one. And I called it Heart to Heart. And so what I did in lieu of worship this week was just did a heart-to-heart pastoral conversation with the congregation, which included, after I was done talking, we spliced in a clip from our sanctuary task force chair. Oh my gosh, this is getting to be so long. Who was giving us an update on our sanctuary project. And that was it, 15 minutes. And the congregation is fine, glad to have that, So make room for all that's happening. And there's a phrase that I'm not very fond of, and it's a word I've never been fond of, and it's the word normal. When are things going to get back to normal? What about the way that history works ever makes us think that normal is a religiously worthy concept to cling to? God is always doing new things. Behold, I'm doing a new thing. This is a new thing. It's coming out of absolutely devastating loss. And we're on the front lines of responding to that loss too, of course. Not like you don't know that. But the new thing, it can't happen and emerge if we're going, when do you think we're going to be getting back to normal? Okay. So thanks for staying here for all this time, spending this time with me. I'm thinking about you constantly, praying for all of us. Let us know how you're doing. Okay. Kiss of peace.